Justin Frenette here, co-founder and CEO of Him and Her and host of the Pre-Con Recon Podcast, where we talk about all things brand and marketing in the pre-construction real estate market. I invite leaders to share their knowledge and strategies for success, empowering our community to thrive now and in the future. This episode is brought to you by Him and Her, our creative agency that specializes in exceptional branding for real estate and high-end consumer goods. Over the past 10 years, we've helped shape and launch over $3 billion in pre-construction real estate projects, crafting and executing marketing strategies that deliver extraordinary results. From rentals to sales, from townhomes to master plan communities, we unlock the full value of every project through strategy, brand, and creative execution. If you're launching a pre-construction project and want to learn more, reach out to us at himandher.ca. My guest today is Stephanie Lane. Stephanie is a recognized leader in real estate sales, marketing, and strategic growth. With more than 2 decades of experience shaping communities across Ontario, including low-rise, high-rise, and resort properties, and over $2 billion in sales. Stephanie has built a career defined by innovation, integrity, and impact. As Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Geranium, a vertically integrated land development and home building company in Southern Ontario, she plays a pivotal role on the executive team, shaping land acquisition and planning decisions, influencing product design, guiding long-term planning, and leading sales and marketing strategies. Stephanie also spearheaded the company's transformative corporate rebrand, unifying 2 distinct entities into a cohesive brand, a shift that strengthened culture, clarified positioning, and elevated market presence. Her work has earned her accolades at local, provincial, and national levels, including a Silver Award for Marketing Professional of the Year from the National Association of Home Builders in 2024. Stephanie is known not only for her strategic vision, but for her people-first leadership style, mentoring emerging talent, fostering high-performing teams, and championing a culture of collaboration and excellence. She's also a licensed real estate salesperson with the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board. Stephanie, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks for inviting me to join you today. Looking forward to our chat.
Same. Now, I always ask, the first question is, what do you love about what you do?
Oh, yeah, cliche as it sounds. It really is all about the people. I think in my, it makes me sound old to say now that I'm over 2 decades of experience doing this, but it really has been the people, both internally, the people I've gotten to work with and had the pleasure of, learning from and working with, to our, the home buyers who we ultimately serve at the end of the day. So that's really kind of what motivates me every day and what I've really taken so much reward out of over the past 20 plus years.
Yeah, we spend so much time with the people we work with. So it really is something special when you enjoy the people that you work with.
Absolutely.
Now, real estate development, was it always in the stars? Was it the plan to be in real estate, or did it happen by chance?
Happened by chance. I started my career actually in hospitality, so hotels and restaurants.
Okay.
Having taken hospitality in college back in the day. And a friend of mine, who is one of my closest friends to this day, was working in new development, sales and marketing, and needed some help with a project launch. And I was in between jobs at the time. And she said, can you just come and help photocopy stuff, or, whatever it was, help people fill in registration cards back in the day. Yeah. And so I went and worked there for a week during this really intense project launch that happened in Mississauga, right by Square One. And, I think a few days in, I was like, this is really cool. I really like this. And she's like, you know what? And I started helping with some other stuff, right, beyond just photocopying driver's licenses and all of that. And anyway, there was a bit of a synergy there. And within about 3 months, she had brought me on as a sales and marketing coordinator for the company. Amazing. And the rest is history. So it totally by chance. I'm a huge advocate of where an opportunity presents itself, explore it, and you never know where it'll go.
100%. Some of our best clients have come from the most random connections, and you never know who that person is that'll make the connection.
Yeah.
Now, the next question, a job that influenced or impacted you in a big way as you are now today. You mentioned hospitality. Would you say that had a serious input on how you operate today and how successful you are?
Definitely. The customer service side is really where I think I've drawn much of my strength from in working with the public and working with prospective home buyers, and being able to provide and instill in our sales teams too a really customer service strong home buying process.
Yep.
Understanding your audience too. That has come from the customer service training that I had, many, many years ago, and just years of hands-on experience dealing with, working in the restaurants and, working guest services in a variety of hotels. You learn how to deal with people, both good and bad. I've seen both sides, experienced both sides. And you just learn how to, you learn how to understand people. You learn how to deal with them on both sides of that equation, and to tailor, how you respond to that also. And I think that's been a huge pillar of my strength and what I've brought to the table in this industry that I'm proud of.
Yeah, I love it. And so from, a trial project launch, you're now hired. When between that moment and now were you like, I belong here, this is meant for me, this is what I was meant to do?
Yeah, that's a really thought-provoking question, and one that I love. And it's been, early, like I said, at the onset, there was this sort of like, oh, I really like this kind of, experience. That just grew and grew and grew the more I was able to have exposure to all of the things that we do on a daily basis with branding and customer experience and sales offices, to working with the homeowners directly. It's grown and it's grown and it's grown. And I think it's been such a gradual process of not this is where I belong necessarily, but that feeling like, yes, I'm here. This is what I do.
Yeah.
And I've had such a huge impact over the years.
Okay. Now, there's impact, obviously, your own career and success. What about impact on others? From your intro, mentoring is a big part of who you are. Was there any early mentors you had that helped you or transformed you along the way?
Yes, definitely. Like I shared off the top, the person who brought me into this industry, who again is one of my dearest friends to this day, she was such an incredible mentor to me. Not only just sharing her experience and wisdom and her professionalism, but also exposing me to opportunities that at a very early stage in getting into this was just such an incredible experience, I'll give you an example. I think within the first couple of years, 2 years perhaps, of being in the industry and working for that same developer, we were launching a phase 4 of a condominium community. Okay. And I sort of had this idea that I said to her, let's do something completely different. Let's not make it a phase 2 of an existing brand, right? At the time, the big Maryland building in Mississauga was coming out. It just launched, and we needed to do something that was just equally as, that was hard to beat based on the architecture back then. But we needed to do something different. And I sort of threw out this idea, and she said, you know what, run with it, put something together and let's see, we'll present it to the group. And yeah, they loved it. And so within the first 2 years of me doing this, I had really shaped the brand of this brand new building that I ultimately ended up purchasing a condo in as well. And I remember walking in that condo once it was ready. I had my keys. I've been through the process. I've done all of the fantastic stuff about picking selections and all of that fun jazz. And I had the keys, and I walked up with this box. And I remember walking into the unit, and I put the box on the kitchen counter, and it was a corner unit. It was beautiful, unobstructed views. Definitely had the benefit of getting first pick of suites in there. And I remember just standing there, and I was by myself, and I was like, I did this. Yeah. Right? Like, not me solely, obviously. But I'd had such an incredible opportunity to be part of what that building ultimately is. And it was just such a rewarding experience.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm indebted to her forever for, getting me into this. And then from there also, the team that I work with today at Geranium has been, all of them, um, have been such great mentors to me also.
Yeah.
Uh, and just, helping me grow in so many different ways. It's been incredible.
That's great. Yeah, the tangible, real, longer than we'll be alive lasting element of what we do is so cool because you can work with lots of companies and they sell great products and they'll last a pretty long time, but it's really only homes that somebody's going to live in and be around longer than you're going to be around, and it's cool
Mm-hmm.
to see them. So I can relate.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned your team at Geranium. Tell me, who are Geranium? What do they do? And you've been here for over 10 years. What makes them so special that this is home for you?
Ultimately, at the end of the day, there's an alignment of values there, which I love. The team is so experienced, um, caring, and genuinely always want to do the right thing.
Mhm.
And not to suggest that other companies don't. That's certainly not the insinuation there. But it's just it's been more felt with this company than it has with previous that I've worked with. Um, at the times that I worked there, obviously.
Right.
And also, I think that's attributed to perhaps having considerable growth while I've been at Geranium and having the opportunity to be involved in as much as I am involved in to date. But yeah, it's a genuine care to do the right thing and to be responsible land developers and builders, working with the communities, working with municipalities, working with the local neighborhoods also, above and beyond what, many others I think do in the industry. That really makes what we do stand out, and where that sort of aligns with my values and why I've been with a company for as long as I have.
Yeah, it's a big piece of it. Even internally in our agency, we hire and we fire on our core values. There's lots of technical skills you can have, but if we're not aligned values wise, it doesn't matter how skilled you are. Uh, I love it. So at Geranium, though, you're VP of Marketing and Sales. Now, that's quite a term in real estate development. It can mean a lot of different things depending on where you're working. So, what does your day to day look like? What are the decisions you're making as VP of Sales and Marketing?
So I'm very fortunate to have exposure to all departments in the
Mm-hmm.
company. We have spent a lot of time and effort, and we're very aware of breaking down silos and making sure that there's collaboration across all departments. Um, that's one of the things that I think also sort of aligns with my values and what we do is that I have had exposure and I am able to work with all of the different teams and learn from all of the different teams too in what we do. So I think what might surprise people, especially outside of the industry that don't do this on a daily basis, is how much involvement is with the other departments in the company, whether it's, our land development side with the servicing and the engineering, the land acquisition, the due diligence phase that we go through, to construction and the product design aspect of it. One of the things I love learning about, as an example, is from the construction side, how are trade negotiations happening? What's happening out with the trades? How is that impacting, what it is that we're recommending from a marketing and a sales perspective in our product design and our home finishes,
Yep.
So having exposure to all of the different departments from a collaborative experience has really, I think, not every opportunity that I've had in the past has had as much collaboration as I have at Geranium.
It's really cool to hear that. As soon as you work with somebody who's siloed, you can tell right away that there's just not one clear picture of what's being built, what the vision is. We had a project once where it was an awesome, modern farmhouse brand design, and you finally saw the architectural renders, and you're like, guys, this looks like a retirement home. These two things don't match. We have to start earlier talking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Now, across all of that, where does most of your energy go? Is it managing the team? Is it strategizing around the product and what's coming next? Or is it problem solving, at least right now?
It's all of the above. It's all of the above. Definitely a lot of strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like I said, I'm at the table for a lot of the discussions about, land acquisition opportunities, due diligence, brainstorming around product development, unit mix, lot fabrics, all of that sort of stuff, which is amazing. The leadership side and the mentoring side has been a big pillar of Geranium's focus over the past 5 years in terms of training, mentoring team members, the succession planning, the upskilling and the growth planning. So that is a good part of my time as well in
Mm-hmm.
terms of our team and not just the sales and marketing team, but the team in general. As a member of the
Right.
executive committee at Geranium, it's important that we're not just looking at our own individual departments and sort of the ones that we manage on a daily basis. It's how are we supporting everybody? And, that's a big sort of focus of ours, has been and will continue to be. And then the problem solving, I mean, that's a daily.
The
There's
higher up you go, the more problems.
Yeah,
You do.
exactly. If you're not a good problem solver or you don't like dealing with problems, then you shouldn't be doing what we do.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what about exciting? What projects are you most excited about that are in market, coming to market? What's getting you fired up this year?
Well, let's be honest, the market isn't wonderful at the present moment. So we're
Yep.
we're fairly quiet in some of our sites currently. We have sort of paused some of the projects that we were planning on bringing to market a little bit sooner, as have probably many in the industry.
Yep.
Um, we are reworking a project right now in the West End and working with the municipality on how we can also better meet the needs from an attainability perspective. So that
Yep.
one is quite exciting as we brainstorm and we problem solve around,
Mm-hmm.
the various different intricacies of that. And then more corporately, from a general sort of brand and structure perspective, how is AI feeding into the landscape these days, and we're incorporating it strategically throughout the organization to help with productivity,
Yep.
strategy, and so on. And then we'll look to work on the marketing side of things once we have a better handle of the internal structure and how we're using it and getting the foundation set properly. Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's the Wild West in terms of every company's trying to figure out what's the right amount, what is it actually good at, not good at, etc. Now, you did recently undergo a major corporate rebrand and just a merger of two companies. We do a lot of branding. It can go really smoothly. It can not go smoothly. What was the biggest challenge you found in merging two brands into one new brand for Geranium moving forward?
Yeah, it was several years ago now that we did that. And just for a bit of background, Geranium was founded as a home builder originally, so it's
Okay.
Geranium Homes. And then later was added the land development side. So they,
Okay.
expanded to land development. And at the time, then there was a second company set up called Geranium Corporation. And it was
Okay.
two distinct entities. So you had Geranium Corporation on the land development side and Geranium Homes on the home building side.
Okay.
And as you might imagine, there was some brand inconsistencies, some brand confusion out in the marketplace. What happened when we were doing both sides versus being a land developer and selling lots versus doing the full end-to-end model. So there was a need and a desire to amalgamate the brands. And so we went through that exercise shortly after I joined the company. It was about a year-long process to do that. And we also designed a new website at the time. But I think one of the biggest things with brand and that was that it's not just about a visual identity change. It was
Mm-hmm.
a culture change. And that took a lot of work. It was several years of going through that, both internally, having our teams talk about just Geranium and not one
Mm-hmm.
side versus the other. Um, and then also externally too, there's still to this day, we get referred to sometimes as one or the other.
Okay.
believe it or not. So it's an ongoing process, and I think that's what not necessarily was underestimated. Um, Certainly not from the marketing side, but I think just the company in general, and as with many companies, I'm sure it's beyond just the logo and the visual identity, right? What
Yes.
happens to
Yep.
the culture? How is that supporting that change? That often becomes a challenge.
And with that, how would you define that rebrand as a success? How do you know that it worked other than it looked much better?
Which it did. Well, in my humble opinion, anyway. um, Again, when you talk about the culture of it, right?
Yeah.
Internally, our teams just, not that it was ever a them versus us scenario, although there could have been, and there perhaps were a couple of moments, when everything is great, it was an us, and when everything wasn't so great, it was an us and them.
Mm-hmm.
When that stopped, and when you hear the team now, it's a completely different conversation. It's a
That's awesome.
we, it's an us. It's let's collaborate with whomever, right? That not that to suggest it didn't happen before, but it didn't happen to the same extent that it does today. And I think
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest successes we've seen as a company is just that hard work that's gone into changing that internal culture around the brand differences
Mm-hmm.
and eliminating it, and breaking down the silos.
Okay. Now, on the project side, I assume because you're so integrated, you are thinking of brand much earlier in the process before product development, architectural amenities. Is that a true statement?
Definitely. Yeah. I
And
mean,
how early is too early? How late is too late in your opinion?
oh, good follow up. The benefit of having involvement in both sides is that, we're not developing the brand per se at the land acquisition stage.
Mm-hmm.
But what we are doing is starting to form some thoughts and some strategy, perhaps not formally, as we're going through that land assembly or land acquisition, the planning and approvals process, how we're designing our lot fabrics, what are we designing? All of those
Mm-hmm.
things that we have involvement in is helping us determine what type of community this is going to be, what style of community this is going to be. Um, we tend to do the actual creative project branding at the
Mm-hmm.
same time that we start our product development, so the
Okay.
architectural designs and so on.
Yeah.
We find that that's a good um, time that we can inject some of that project brand element into our product design and how we're connecting all of the dots at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
We have done the project brand sooner and we have done it a little bit later.
Yeah.
But generally, that's when we try to sort of then bring all of those pieces together and then really build out the program in a cohesive thought process, essentially.
Yep. Okay. That makes sense. And then creatively, marketing wise, again, every developer is different. Do you have a large in-house creative marketing team? Do you fully outsource with vendors? What's the mix and why? Why internal? Why external? When and where?
Yeah. So we have a small internal team
Hmm.
that really, at the end of the day, we manage strategy and consistency across all of our different projects, from a corporate brand to a project brand perspective. And then we sort of assess it on a skills based perspective. Um, Internally, right now, we are a little slimmer than we have been in the past, and it's sort of, we
Yep.
kind of play around with that. And then we onboard external teams where specialized expertise is
Yep.
beneficial. So right now, a lot of our creative agencies are external. We have digital agency that's external, social marketing as well,
Yep.
all very collaborative by nature.
Yep.
Where we are then overseeing sort of the overarching strategy and direction, and then relying on those teams for their expertise in those more specialized
Yep.
uh, avenues.
Makes sense. Okay, you talked about the market, not so rosy at the moment. How is it changing your bigger picture land acquisition, product design, sales and marketing strategy? Really, if we get to the root of it, what's the biggest change in how you operate? And counter to that is what's actually the same, what's foundational that doesn't really matter whether the market's up or down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh, just from an actively selling project perspective right now, some of that messaging has changed. Although we are generally, we've generally had, like, we're not a high pressure sales environment, typically. That's not our style. Based on sort of the projects that we've had in the past too, a lot of them being more estate style homes, acre plus, larger homes. Um, those are not decisions that happen overnight or after a one-time visit. So for us, our sales process has always been a bit more extended and really more sort of consultative, guidance based, and so on. That, we have gone to the high pressure side, obviously, as all of us have. When the market is hot and you've got lineups and people wanting stuff, it's okay, you either make a decision now or I've got 3 people waiting behind you to purchase. That's not our normal style. So what I would say in the market change now is that really it's what's remained the same as that for us. We continue to guide people through this process. This is not, buying a home for many is such a daunting experience. And us as sales and marketing people, we need to remember that and, bring ourselves back to that. It becomes secondhand to us. So that's not changed. I think what has changed in some of the narrative right now and some of our messaging and communication is, that urgency messaging that many of us were using, register today, register now for advance access. And this, that's not there today. Yep. Now it's, we're here to help guide you, let us show you, let us help you. And we're here when you're ready type of messaging, right? So just sort of meeting the market where the market is, and they're doing their research and they're taking their time and they're doing their due diligence, right? So we're here whenever you are ready type of thing.
And that's why when you talk about brand and your team culture and the experience, the customer experience background is so important, because now that's the difference. If you're take a few days to get back, or you're not very kind, like all those little things are going to make the decision of, oh, I trust Geranium versus the other developer. A lot of people can get the branding and the materials right, but that interactive customer experience is definitely a differentiator.
Yeah. And I think, Justin, that's where you nailed it. That's where the hospitality side of me kind of steps up and is like, that's fine. And we have said to people in the past, not often, mind you, but someone who we can tell isn't ready to purchase. We have said to people in the past, you know what? Go home and sleep on it. Yeah. I'm not, I don't want you to sign this agreement today because I don't want you to go home and have buyer's remorse. And then, it completely changes the experience. So go home, sleep on it, and we'll touch base again soon. Right.
Love it. Now, where do you think some developers are still missing the mark? They're still running on the old playbook. Is it the urgency message, or some still pushing the urgency, or some going too discount heavy and tarnishing the trust in the brand? Where do you think the biggest mistakes could be that other developers are employing?
That may be it for some. I haven't seen too much of that, previous messaging around register now, limited time opportunities and so on. So I think everyone in the industry is acknowledging that. How they're doing it on the sales floor, again, it's a bit challenging now, as you know, things are very quite slow across the board. I think people are doing their research online and not even contacting sales representatives at the moment. So really what your online presence is, and being able to provide that information is perhaps where people are missing the mark, potentially. We're spending time right now, speaking of AI previously, of updating our project websites and, on a one-by-one basis right now, for greater FAQs, those questions, those question-based answers, making sure that we're providing the information that we know that people are looking for. And that whole idea of, the gated, gatekeeping information is long of the past, especially in this day and age of people doing all of their research online before they even pick up the phone or send a text message or a WhatsApp message or whatever means of communication we're all trying to achieve right now.
So in that case, would you say what's more important than in the current market condition, your website or the person they talk to for the first time when they reach out?
In order of priority, definitely your website. Your website has to communicate, as much information as you can to even afford the opportunity for a one-on-one discussion or chat. If we're not providing the information that someone needs online, we're missing the opportunity. We may not even get that second opportunity to have a conversation with them.
Yeah. Now, you also talked about your values align with Geranium because of the fact that they do things right. What would be a internal decision that your team made that had an impact that you're proud of, but that the home buyer would never know you made that decision, but you were happy you made that decision? That could be a design change, a pricing adjustment. What's something you were like, oh, that was the right call when we could have made a less great call, a more maybe selfish call?
I mean, there's, well, I don't know if I should say this, but there's probably lots. It in its simplest form, from a sales perspective,
Yep.
it's doing the right thing for people when you've messed up, right? And we mess up. Let's be honest.
Yep.
We're not perfect.
Nope.
The process isn't perfect sometimes, and I think so. It's just recognizing that and acknowledging that, and sometimes there are decisions that are made up front to avoid it in the future, let's say, and change. A change is made. But yeah, I don't know. That's a hard question to answer.
Yeah.
I'm stumped.
It is. It's all right. It's such complex projects what you do. There's a million things you can cut a corner on or do the right thing on, or etc. But I like that you got to doing the right thing when you mess up, because I do it. Companies do it all the time. Now, if we were to give advice to up and comers in the industry, the next generation of sales and marketing, what is the one piece of advice, or what's the one skill you think will matter the most in the next 5-10 years here to be successful?
There's a couple. I think understanding data and being able to use it, more importantly, is a massive skill set. I don't think people realize how much analysis there is in sales and marketing when they first get into it. And that's where I know my strength has been in the industry and getting to where I am today, is that data-driven approach. And like I said, more importantly, being able to do something with the data. It's great to collect data, but what you do with it at the end of the day is really what makes or breaks the decisions. I would say also, being able to adapt quickly. You have to be able to change course, to be flexible, to be amenable to, other thoughts and other processes and different directions. So that also, I think, is a hard skill to learn and to have, and people who embrace that and can run with it also, I think, can see a lot more opportunities in where they get to at the end of the day. And then also learning about leadership versus management. There's a big distinction between the two, and it's something I've learned over the years. And I think what has really changed me and who I am and managing a team is learning the difference between the two, leadership, inspiring, versus management, sort of more directing and execution and so on. And I think understanding the difference between those and learning how you can implement both and pull either lever or both levers at an earlier stage. I wish I'd have learned more about it at an earlier stage in my career. I'm thankful that I do know about it now. But definitely something that I think people in their younger careers need more exposure to.
I love it. Now, you yourself, you did win a national award for marketing. Now, did anything change? Did this award change your career path? What was validating in winning that award? And maybe what didn't it capture that you think awards miss?
Yeah. The generally awards miss, I think, a lot of the time and the effort and the extent of kind of what we do behind the scenes, just in general. I'm super proud to have been nominated for that. It's a silver award, so I didn't win gold, but that's okay. Happy with the silver, of course, and being nominated across North America. I mean, that's amazing. I wouldn't say anything drastically changed the next day. But what I did take from it and what I continue to take from it, albeit it is still fairly recent in my career, one, I didn't submit myself for that. My team did, which was such a huge honor.
Yeah, that's a big testament.
Yeah, I didn't craft the submission. I did get to read it before they sent it in and just sort of give the A-OK, but I was, honored that they wanted to submit me for that and that they had crafted such an amazing submission. And I actually said that to them. I'm like, oh, this is so weird reading what you guys have written. I'm humbled by it, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think, looking back on it, you asked, early on sort of when you feel that you kind of belong and when you feel like you are, valued at the table type of thing. And we all have days where, like I said, we mess up, we make mistakes. We say something that we shouldn't have said, or, a strategy that we thought was good didn't pan out the way we thought. And we start to question our abilities and do we really belong? And then, I think back to that and I'm like, well, no, I do. Right. And it's been acknowledged. And that just gives me sometimes, that little bit of added, no, you know what? It was just a little bit of a misstep or this or that. I'm good at what I do. And so that reinforcement sometimes is really nice to lean back on.
Amazing. Well, Stephanie, I've got one last question. When you look back at your career one day, what impact do you hope that you have achieved that you'd be like, okay, I really did something?
Two things. One, and we've talked about both, which is nice. The mentoring side of it, the leadership side of it, being able to have made an impact with others and to teach others. Again, as cliche as that sounds, it's really, really rewarding. And I hope I still have many years ahead of me to continue to do that and have people reach out for advice and just, that side of things is great. And then also, we talked about it earlier on, that legacy impact of what it is that we do and what we have the ability to influence. What we do stands for many, many years, whether it's a single detached home or a condo high-rise building. I drive through our communities. I drive past, I was in the high-rise landscape initially in my career. I drive past condos to this day where I'm like, you know what? That's the way that is because of something I said or something I contributed to. And it's such a rewarding feeling. It's amazing.
I love it. Well, we've been talking to Stephanie Lane from Geranium. Stephanie, for people who want to learn more about you or get in touch, maybe questions, mentoring, where can we send them?
Probably LinkedIn is the best way to get hold of me. Stephanie Lane on LinkedIn. You can find me through Geranium primarily. And I'd love to connect. And I love talking to people in the industry, open book. Love to share. So reach out.
Well, Stephanie, thanks for joining me on the Pre-Con Recon Podcast, brought to you by Him and Her.